Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I decided to start this a little early because I am testing a slightly new setup. So first, I would love to know if you could hear the background music. And second, I would love to know if I am echoey. There's a couple of things going on around here. I'm going to check the feed myself too, but I figure I would love to know if you're hearing and seeing what I'm expecting you to hear and see. No echo and can hear background audio is good. Hey Scott, thanks for being here. Greg, thanks for joining. I appreciate you letting me know that everything appears or sounds good. Thanks so much for joining. So we'll wait a couple of minutes for everybody to get in and get started. I'm really glad that worked because I'm going to be demoing Descript today, and it wouldn't be a very good demo if you couldn't hear some of the things I'm working on. So I'll give you a quick behind the scenes look at stuff while we wait here. So let me see. Do I have this set up properly? Let's play a fun game. Oh no, I don't. That's a bummer. So I am using the Rodecaster Pro here, and so I have everything set up so that it's like getting all of the audio instead of the just my microphone audio and piping it out to you. And so that's it's a little bit risky because I'm worried that like the computer audio is also going to come through, but everything should be muted. So let's see. Scott asking if the microphone sticker also costs $8 a month. No, that's a flat fee of $8. So there you go. I don't need to pay $8 a month to show people that I'm verified. These stickers came from dbrand. I think MKBHD tweeted about them, and it was like $8 for a pack of stickers. I'll see if I can find the link while we wait for a few more people to come in. I don't know if it was just like a limited run thing that they did, but I bought a pack because why not? Why not? And yeah, so it looks like, I can't, you know what? I can't actually post comments from Ecamm Live, so I will go to the live stream and drop that link there. Pause this so that you don't hear me twice. And then I think we'll probably get started here. There's a lot of ground to cover. Scott, glad you could be here. So those are the dbrand stickers. Scott, I'm glad everything. Scott Cowan, we got Scott Sanchez and Scott Cowan here. So glad everything is sounding good there. Okay, so why don't let's see, how are we doing on number of people? All right, there's a good number of people here. So first of all, if you're just joining us, hello, let me know who you are, where you're coming from, why you joined, and maybe if you currently have a podcast or if you've been waiting patiently for a presentation like this to show you that editing doesn't have to take a very long time. So let's switch to this. Let me know if you could see the slides in the chat here. I'll have the chat open. The other thing that I should just double check, because I didn't do this last time and I got some emails like afterwards, people asking me how to get in, and I would hate to prevent people from joining. So I'm just going to double check that really quick. It looks like I have not gotten any new emails. So again, say hi. Let me know where you're coming from. I want to thank you for joining me on this, the day before a U.S. holiday. Hey, Renee, thanks for joining. Glad you could be here. Still in Florida. Renee and I were in both at the same R3 conference, though I think Renee was probably a better attendee than me. I skipped out most of the time to spend time in Disney World. I mean, with my family, not just by myself. But um, in the new year, she wants to do solo episodes. That's great. Scott coming in and saying that he's been using Descript for over a year, would love to better understand my workflow. And Greg is saying, starting to dive into Descript for podcasting, looking for tips. Greg, I'm going to say Doig. Um, Sorry if I'm saying your name incorrectly. And then we've got Greg Davis. Lots of Gregs and Scotts today, living in Colorado, looking to leverage Descript for looking to use Descript for editing the Leverage WP community and brand Camtasia. And thinking about a podcast too. Very exciting. Thank you all for sharing that. So let's dive in to the presentation, which will mostly be a demo. So first of all, I want to ask you a couple of questions, right? Have you ever tried to dig a hole without a shovel, like my friend Andy from Shawshank Redemption here, where he just kind of used, I think, a rock hammer to dig a very large hole into, spoiler alert, I guess, for Shawshank Redemption, to escape from prison. Not the most optimal tool, gets the job done, right? He manages to escape using a suboptimal tool over probably several years. So have you ever tried to dig a hole without a shovel, or like drill into something without a drill? Is another thing. I've tried to hammer things with like the end of a screwdriver because I didn't have a hammer handy. All of those things were a lot harder. What about going 500 miles without a car or a plane? Just walking 500 miles like my friends from the Proclaimers here. Again, something doable. They proclaim to be willing to do it, 500 and 500 more. So it's definitely doable, and people have done it. But again, not if you are looking for the most optimal way to do things. It's not the best, right? Liam, hey Liam, coming in from Chester County. I might have a podcast. Thanks for joining us today, Liam. Glad you could be here. Always glad when you're able to show up to these online events. So Andy was able to get out of prison digging a giant hole using suboptimal tools. The Proclaimers were able to walk 500 miles and then 500 more without a car or some other transportation. But you can do those things, but it's really hard to do those things. You need to find the right tool for the job. And for a long time, with podcast editing, there were easier tools on a scale, right? Like GarageBand or Audacity is easier than Logic, for example. But for a long time, it was really hard to edit podcasts. And by some measurements, creating podcast content would be 4 hours of work for every hour of content. So if you wanted to do 4 hour long episodes, you're looking at half a week's worth of work. And maybe that's great for you. Maybe that's fine. But for a lot of people who aren't maybe seeing downloads or numbers that they'd like to see, or they're not making money, spending 16 to 20 hours on something for such a low payoff is generally not worth it for a lot of people. But what if I told you, right? I mean, you're here, you know the punchline. What if I told you that you could get a lot closer to a 1-to-1 ratio? It's not going to be perfectly 1-to-1 because you do need to plan and record that content and then edit it and publish it, but it's going to be a lot better than 4-to-1. That's where Descript comes in. I've been trying to say Descript. I think that's how it's said. I've been saying Descript for a long time, which I'm going to blame Matt Medeiros for. Maybe some of you know Matt Medeiros. So I might change. I might kind of interchange the way I say it, but I'm really trying hard to say Descript. Descript is an audio and video editing app. It's cross-platform, so it's Mac, Windows, um, and it makes editing really easy. So I'm going to show you how to use Descript today. I want to show you why Descript is the best. We're going to do a full tutorial where I'm going to edit my next episode of Make Money Podcasting. And I'm going to show you Descript for video. The thing I'm editing is video as well as audio. So I'm going to edit this thing once and then export it to both YouTube and my podcast host, Buzzsprout. So here's the quick outline, right? What is Descript and how does it work? We're going to record with Descript, edit audio and video, and then we're going to export with Descript. The reason that I love this app is because it really is an all-in-one app. Some people don't record directly into Descript. They'll record in whatever app they want to record in and then import the audio. That's fine. But when I'm recording, especially when I'm recording audio only, I will record directly into Descript. When I'm recording video, I use Ecamm because I have a lot of things built into Ecamm so that I don't have to do as much video editing like this or like that. Oh, spoiler alert, that's going to be a special link for y'all. So when I record video, I do use Ecamm because I have a lot of bells and whistles inside Ecamm to make editing easier. But when I am doing audio only, I'll record right into Descript. So first of all, what is Descript? Descript is a way to edit audio and video as easily as editing a Google Doc. And I know Phoebe's reaction is the right one. This is, if you don't remember this episode of Friends, this is the one where Brad Pitt comes to Thanksgiving dinner. And I use this GIF because I think that Descript is like the Brad Pitt of editing apps. You highlight and delete text, and audio or video are deleted. You don't have to scrub through looking for, where you clapped your hands or long gaps or just listen through. This is what takes editing. This is why editing takes a long time a lot of times, right? Because if you're not making notes during the edit or during the recording, then you need to scrub through the entire episode. You don't have to do that. Editing with Descript is as easy as searching for text or looking for those gaps and then deleting text. So that's what Descript is. The three big features that I'm going to demo for you today are editing audio by deleting text and video, actually. One-click removal of filler words, right? So you don't have to go through and delete every And I have opinions on that I'll share later, but people like to do that. And studio sound, which is incredible. Most of you here, if you're already recording, you might have a good mic. But if you don't have a good mic or your guest doesn't have a good mic, studio sound to the rescue. The link on the screen here, go.podlifts.me/Descript, is an affiliate link. Full disclosure there. It is free to use. Liam is saying, always a good idea to blame Matt Medeiros for most things. Sorry, I just saw that comment. Descript is free to use and they charge based on certain features as well as transcription hours. So I'm paying for like the pro version, I think, which is like $24 a month or $30 a month or something like that. But I'm in it every day, right? I do most of my audio and video editing in Descript nowadays. There are a few other great features here that we might get to. Overdub is one of them. Overdub is a little scary. Basically, if you're paying for the higher plan, Descript will learn your voice, and then you can type text into the transcript, and Descript will use how it's learned your voice to create audio. Obviously, this is not going to work with video, but I've used Overdub a couple of times, usually when I mess something up, like a single word, and I don't feel like recording that whole segment again. For example, I named the wrong WordPress plugin in an episode of WP Review, and the owner reached out to me and they said, hey, it's like a little bit confusing because this other plugin came along later and used that name. So you named our competitor, but you linked to us. No worries if you can't fix it. And I used overdub to fix it, which was, again, a little scary, but kind of cool. Storyboarding, this is their big new thing. If you're doing a lot of video, they've put a lot of effort into this new interface to make it easier to create video. I'm not going to show you that. I don't really use the storyboarding features. And then they also have templates as well as audio effects and transitions. We're definitely going to look at some audio effects and transitions like ducking or using audio cues to fade out music and things like that. Oh, yeah, and transcripts. Oh, there's only 2 dots here instead of the 3 that make a proper ellipsis. But Descript is a transcription tool. It'll transcribe your audio or your video. Well, it'll transcribe your audio, whether you're using audio or video. And then you have a full transcript that you can export along with your content. And so, again, one of the things I really love about Descript here is that when I export my episodes to Buzzsprout says, yeah, let's grab the transcript too, and we'll add it to the episode. So it's not perfect. It's as good or maybe slightly better than most of these AI transcription services. For how I built it, I use a person to transcribe, but for most people who want to use a AI transcribe and then fix it themselves, Descript makes it really easy to do that. Okay, so that's the intro, and now it's time for a demo. So let's switch screens here, and we'll go into Descript. So let me know if you could see this okay. I think I can zoom in a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do, because I want to show the transcription, is I'm going to create a composition called 220 Podcaster's Gift Guide. That's the latest episode that I'm putting out today for Make Money Podcasting. And I've already imported the recording. So I recorded this with Ecamm Live because it is video. Greg, thanks for the confirmation that you can see the screen. So I did record and import this. So I'm just going to drop this onto the timeline, and then you can see we get a little split screen here. So now that I've added it, I'm going to usually it comes up and it asks me if I want to transcribe it. So already, live demo off to a really good start. I'll click the file here and click transcribe file, and then it'll get to transcription. So it's going to ask me, who am I? I'm Joe. You'll see that my name is in pink. It basically knows me, so it kind of knows how I talk. So let's get that started. This is kind of like a cooking show, right? Where we're going to start this and then move on to something else and then come back to it. The first thing I want to show you is studio sound because I think it's wild. So I recorded this with the built-in microphone. This is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. Could you hear that okay? Let me know if you could hear that. This is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. So, as long as you could hear that, I hope you could. You heard that it was very echoey. It sounded far away. This may not come through in the stream, but you could also hear my kids in the background because one of them was upstairs screaming. My kids are all home from school for the holiday. The audio is very low. So Renee said yes, it was very faint. Part of that is probably the audio quality. Some of it is just going to be. So let me see if I can maybe boost this a little bit and then come back here. This is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. All right, so I'll do that one more time for you, and then I'll show you studio. This is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. Okay, so that was the audio. If I come over here, if I click on this line and then click add effect, that was much better. Thank you, Scott. Thanks everybody for letting me know. Let me know if my mic is like blown out now. I'll lower everything again when I'm done with this demo. So you can see that there's studio sound here. If I turn on studio sound, it will process the file. This is really short, so it shouldn't take a very long time. And then if I play this again, this is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. This is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. This is a quick test to demonstrate the power of studio sound in Descript. Okay, so when I'm switching back and forth, right? This microphone is obviously a lot better than the built-in microphone, but as I'm switching back and forth, you could hear the difference, right? You could hear it's less echoey. There's less white noise or background noise, and you don't hear my children as strongly. I'll see if I can export this like a before and after so that you could see it later as a resource, so that you're getting like the uncompressed version, the unstreamed version. We're going to check on, okay, great. So we have our transcript here, but the other thing I want to show you, right, is how I record right into Descript or Descript. Recording in Descript, bit quiet, but all good. Awesome. Thank you all. So I'm going to record into Descript. What I like about this is that the transcript happens as I'm talking. So I'm going to click on the microphone up here, and I'm going to make sure that the input is correct. I want the Rodecaster Pro 2 chat. This is going to be mix minus, so it's only going to be my microphone, instead of like all of the sound effects and things like that. So I'm just going to talk for a little bit, and then I'll show you a couple of the other features. So this is me recording now into Descript, like using some filler words to really contrive a demo that we'll have in a minute. But you can see as I'm talking, there's a slight delay when I'm talking, but I can see the transcript created as I'm talking. I like to do this when I'm recording because it's really easy for me to stop and edit and then keep going. This is one of the reasons I really like recording in Descript. So if I'm recording here and I decide I mess up something, I say, oh, I always record in GarageBand. Oh, wait, no, this isn't GarageBand. This is Descript. I'll stop, and then I highlight the text. I delete it. The audio gets deleted, and then I pick up right where I left off. I always like to make sure. And then I pick up right where I left off. So as I'm recording, I can quickly edit instead of scrubbing through the entire episode again. This works especially well with mini podcasts. If you're not using a mini podcast or you're doing an interview, it's going to get a little bit more complicated because you are going to have to record the interview somewhere else. But for mini podcasts, this is absolutely perfect. Okay. So transcription is finishing up here. This is absolutely perfect. Yeah. So, there we go. Perfect. So you can see a couple of things here, right? The filler words are underlined. Every and is underlined. If I click on one of those or right click and click on remove filler words, I can choose from a list. So select all. 2 more filler words were found. Oh, so I'm not using the most pro. I'm using the one level down from pro. But Descript Pro also detects and like repeat words. So if you say like, it'll automatically get rid of that. So if I click apply to all first of all, I can replace with a gap clip so that the words you were just speaking don't run into each other. Or we could just say ignore those words. So if we click ignore and apply to all. Now if I play this back, Descript. So this is me recording now into Descript, like using some filler words to really contrive a demo that we'll have in a minute. But you can see as I'm talking, there's a slight delay when I'm talking, but I can see the transcript created as I'm talking. So that's remove filler words. Really easy way to remove those words. I think in the pro version you can also like select specific text that you want to remove. So if you have a guest with salty language, or you have salty language, and you don't want to have that in your main podcast, then you can remove it there too. So those were the two features I really wanted to show you: studio sound and remove filler words. Super easy. Let's go. Now let's get to the main event here. This is a full episode I have of Make Money Podcasting. I recorded it earlier today. I'm covering my gift guide. It's a little bit longer, so I'm going to stretch out here a little bit and then go to the beginning. There are a few tools that are really helpful, and I'll talk through the keyboard shortcuts, but you could see them all here. Select, range, blade, and hand. I use select and blade the most. So if I press B, it'll enable the blade. You can see that there's a little gap here. So I can cut that gap off, and then I'll press A to turn on select again and press delete. And now it goes, hey everybody, it is that, right into the video, right? Hey everybody, it is that time of year. The other thing I want to do, right, is, so for the video, I'm not going to do this, but in a second, I'm going to prepare this video for audio only. The main difference between YouTube and podcasting is with YouTube, you want to get right to the point, right? People on YouTube don't want a lot of fluff. You want this in your podcast too, but the main difference where this comes in is I include an intro in every episode, in every podcast episode, because you don't know how somebody discovers your podcast. It could have been recommended to them. They could have just stumbled upon it, and maybe they don't know exactly what your show is about because they didn't land on your channel, like your YouTube channel, where they just see what your show is about. So that intro is really important. It's not important on YouTube because people have landed on your channel and they can probably see what you're about a lot more readily. So what I do is I record this. I don't do the intro, but I leave a 4-second or a few second gap here that I can easily remove. So I'll use the blade tool again here, and I'll remove that. So now, further ado, let's get started. Okay, so here we go. Now, if I want to, I think it's option. Yeah, if I do option, I can create a little transition here. So I can place my cursor in between the two cut clips, hold down option, and then slide to the left, and it creates a little transition here. Let's get started. Okay, so here, which we didn't really see that there. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so maybe I gotta make this a little longer, or maybe I gotta do that. Get started. There we go. So here we go. We've got the pop. So that's the transition. I think maybe blue is audio and red is video. So that's the first transition I created. There's also a part I want to cut out here. There's a part where I actually straight up say it because I like fumble over what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna search for the word cut, and then at 13:29 I say maybe I'll cut this part out. So I click there. It jumps. Yeah. So the Elgato Facecam, it jumps to that part of the transcript, and then I could look for where I messed up. So I'll say otherwise I think the Elgato Facecam is great, And then I spend some time trying to look for the new one on the fly, which is terrible. I don't recommend doing that. So what I'll do here is highlight this text, and then I don't know if you could see here, but there's a little 6.8, like a little cleft thing, and then a 6.8. This is saying that I'm silent for 6.8 seconds while I'm looking for that page. So we'll cut all of that out by deleting the transcript, and then you could see I'll make this video bigger so you could see what that looks like. So I'll start back up here. But again, if you want this kind of quality and you have the budget, that's what I recommend. Otherwise, I think that the Elgato Facecam is great. Oh yeah, they just came out with the Facecam Pro. This is a 4K. So video, the video is a little bit more obvious. The oh yeah here, like maybe I'll get rid of that too, is great. They just came out with the Facecam Pro. So that's a little bit of a cleaner transition there. But again, I didn't have to fuss around with any video. I just deleted text. The last thing I'll do here is come down here, and I like to add an end screen to my YouTube videos. So I don't think I actually have this file ready. Yeah, I guess I don't have this file ready, so I'll have to go spelunking in my brand files here. Oh, you know what? Actually, this is going to be in Dropbox. I have a template for this all set up, but I want to do it from scratch for y'all, so that you can see, like what it looks like starting from the beginning. So podcast liftoff end screen. There we go. I'll take this, I'll drag it right onto the timeline, and then what you make. So I'll cut this here. And then I'll do the same transition again. So you could see I was pressing Option. What I want is Option Shift for transitioning both. Oh no. Is that actually what I want? There we go. So then I have a little video transition there. I like to make this 20 seconds because that's about how long the YouTube end screens are. So I can go up here to duration, and I can change the 6 to a 20, and then it gets longer. And now this is ready for export. I've made all the edits I want. And I kind of knew, like I made notes about, hey, everybody, where I want to edit. Maybe I want to get rid of, like maybe I'll just get rid of that big arm gesture. Hey, everybody, it is that time. So we have the video now. If I want to export this, I'll go to share. I won't do this now because it takes some time. And I'll go to export YouTube, and then I will connect to my YouTube account. I don't know why there's no persistent connection. I also just realized that I'm like still in the bottom left here. So hopefully y'all can see some of the stuff I was working on over here. But you can see I need to sign in. So I'll sign in to my YouTube account. I guess I'll just do this. And then the podcast liftoff channel is the one I want. We'll reopen Descript. And then this is slightly frustrating. I have to go through this again. Oh, well, I shouldn't have to go through this part again. There we go. And then I can publish this. So this will get sent to my YouTube channel. And then I'll add like the end screen and stuff over there. Now, if I go back here, for the purpose of of this project, this webinar, I am going to make a copy of this. I'm going to duplicate this, and this will be audio 220. The video is still going to stay here. I'm going to keep the video and I'll keep all of this intact. But when I do the export, it's only going to be audio. So the first thing I want to do is find that transition, which is over here. And I want to get rid of the video transitions because I want to add my intro at this part. So the first thing I'm going to do is in between these two clips, I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert a gap clip. This creates a gap in the timeline. I'm going to make this about 4 seconds because that's how long I want my intro music to run before coming in to the intro. The other thing I need to do is grab my intro music. So that's going to be called 10K intro, or 10K is definitely in it somewhere. 10K dash 10K intro 2. Again, in my main template, like all of these files are already added, but I want to show you how I'm doing it here, or how I would do it from scratch. So I'll drop that intro in. It gets added. I can choose to transcribe it. I'm not going to transcribe this just because it creates a nice gap so I can see where the intro is. And then when I add these files, they get added to the project files section. And I should point out here that this is a classic Descript project. They're really pushing storyboard. Like you can actually see up here, copy this to storyboard. When I'm doing especially audio only, I really prefer the classic view. That's just my personal preference. There's no difference in features. The storyboard is a little bit more friendly to video editing, but especially when I'm doing audio editing, I'm just a lot more comfortable in this interface. So that's the one I'm choosing to use. But you can see the project files get added here. So the other project file I need to add is, I think this is called Light Wave. I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to go back and double check actually. So if I go to Drive and then Make Money Podcast, this is called Light Over the, where'd it go? Light Over the Hill, music for me. I guess I could have just searched music for makers, which is where I get a lot of my stock music from. So we'll go back here. Actually, we got to go to Finder. Light Over the Hill. And then similarly, I'm going to go to the intro, to the gap clip, really. And then I'm going to drop this right on the timeline. So you can see when it gets dropped, I can move it and attach it to the gap clip. So that's the first thing I want to do here, right? So now let's get started. Hello and welcome to... You can hear that the music drowns out the voiceover a little bit. Let's get started. Whoops. To Make Money Podcasting. So what we can do here is something called ducking. If I click on the intro clip, I'll go to Add Effect, and then Dynamics. Under Dynamics, there's something called ducking. What this does is say, when there's audio on the current clip, duck any other audio, which means like lower any other audio. So let's see the effects of that. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Make Money Podcasting, the show that teaches you how to make you. So you can probably hear it got a little bit lower. If I want to duck a little bit more, I can, I think that's the amount of ducking. Let's see. Hello and maybe I want it to actually be like 5%. Hello and welcome to Make Money Podcasting, the show that teaches. So you could see that my voiceover is a lot more forward here. Now I want to double check that the ducking continues through. Oh, here we go. We've got the podcast gift guide up here. Now, I'm glad the ducking stuck, but I do want this music to fade out as I continue on with the episode. So on the blue line here, right at the gap between the intro and the actual episode, I'm going to right click on the blue line and I'm going to add a volume keyframe. And then I'm going to look in my transcript here. There's a little gap between where I say right and So that looks like a good place for me to add the other one. So I'm going to again right click on the blue line, add a volume keyframe, and then I'm going to lower that second volume keyframe all the way to the bottom, so then we get a fade out effect. Casting. Okay, so here we go. We've got the podcast gift guide up here. The first thing I want to start with always is a microphone, right? So now I've added the intro, the gap clip, and the intro music that's done once we really get into the episode. The last thing I want to do here is, Liam just asked me, can I repeat the name of where I get my stock music? That is musicformakers.com. Musicformakers.com. It's like a one-time fee of $150, I think, and it's this one guy, Logan Nicholson, who just creates new songs every week. It's wild. So I'm a big fan of that. I've also looked at Envato Elements. That's a little bit more expensive, but it's like music and sound effects and a bunch of other stuff. So, if you've listened to my other podcast, you'll know that sometimes I ask if you have a trade secret, and if somebody says trade secret, I will, I'll have like a bell play, and that wasn't very good. And like those sound effects I get from Envato Elements, but Music for Makers is the one I recommend. So maybe I'll drop that in the chat over here really quick. And yeah, so this is, you get access to all the music, 129 for a limited time. And again, that's a lifetime price. So big fan. I'm happy to support an independent creator in that way. I think he does really good work. So the last thing I want to do here is get rid of the end screen that I added, because that is going to add an extra 20 seconds of just dead noise onto the episode. So I'll delete that, double check, or joe@casabona.org. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, I can't wait to see what you make. Great. So that is the episode. I've added my intro. I cut out the part I wanted to cut out. And I have the music. I have the cold open here. I don't know if I was super clear, but I like to do a cold open before my intro in podcast episodes so that people know why they should listen, right? You have 30 to 60 seconds to grab people's attention. Some folks will do a cold open where it's a good pull quote from their guest. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to tell people, hey, this is why you should listen to this week's episode. So with all of that, I'll click share on this project. I'll go to export and I'll choose more. And so you could see all of the external hosts here: Blueberry, Buzzsprout, Captivate, and I don't know why Castos is no longer showing up. Oh, composition must be audio only. So you'd have to get rid of the video component for Castos. To do that, let's do that really quick. We can right click and then detach audio. Does that work? And then if we look at our composition again, I actually haven't tried this before. I wasn't sure why it didn't work. But if I Now, if I just detach the audio, will that work? No, so it looks like I'd have to. I don't know why that didn't work actually. Split clips. So I can investigate that further. But so with Castos, it has to be an audio only composition. With Buzzsprout, maybe not thankfully, maybe I'd know how to do this if it was Buzzsprout. They'll just grab the audio. So I'll do Buzzsprout and then I will click publish. And then it'll publish and open it up in Buzzsprout here. So I'll get rid of the episode, like the clerical stuff. And I'll call this the 2022 Podcaster's Gift Guide. So now it's uploading. Scott asks a great question here. So let me switch over to this view and bring over Scott's question. How can you upload to an audio or a hosting company that's not listed? That's a great question. If I go to share here under export, there's a bunch of different stuff, right? So if you're using like Libsyn or something like that, that's not listed here, you can export the audio by itself. So you'll export this audio, it'll be saved to your computer, and then you can upload it to your audio host of choice. So that's how you would do it if you use, say, Libsyn or Transistor. Oh, just kidding, Transistor's on here. So but that's how you would do it for a host that's not listed here. All right, so this is processing. I will get an email when it's done processing, but y'all, that's it. That's so it took me a half hour to record this episode. Because it was just me, I had some notes on what I wanted to edit, but I did it in video, so I wasn't editing directly in Descript like I do with audio only. And it took me about 20 minutes to do both the YouTube video and the audio. Now, if I go to YouTube Studio here and I open up Podcast Liftoff, that's where I uploaded it. Let's see if the upload completed. Yeah, 220 Podcasters Gift Guide. What is that? Oh, what a weird thumbnail they picked for this. Oh, yeah, that's from Ecamm Live. But yeah, so the video's uploaded. In the time it took me to just like make those few tweaks to the audio, it was already uploaded to YouTube. So hopefully I've demonstrated this for you. Descript has really improved my workflow. We'll get into, so that's the whole demo. We'll get into Q&A in a minute, but I do want to talk about one more thing, right? Because this is all in the name of making things easier, right? Trying to edit in like professional grade audio editing or video editing can be really hard. Descript makes it easy and fast, but editing is only part of the battle, right? And when you launch your podcast, podcasting can feel like a marathon that you're sprinting. It can feel like a time suck. It can feel like yelling into the void. It could feel like a money pit if you're not making money, but you're spending money. And it could feel like it's really hard to do well. But it doesn't have to feel that way, right? Hopefully this demo showed you that it doesn't have to feel that way. Obi-Wan is asking really, and I tell you, my friend, really, it could feel a lot better. So that's why I created the podcast Liftoff playbook. So this video, this demo, this replay will be available for 2 days for you. And then it's going into the playbook along with the Launching Your Mini Podcast webinar I did a few weeks ago. And hours of content here on launching your podcast and being consistent and getting sponsored and making money. So there's a whole bunch of videos. Everything's organized into self-paced courses as well as super searchable videos. So like if you just want to do sponsorship, you can search for sponsorship. But if you want to look at how to make money, then there's a self-paced course completely on how to make money. If you want to launch a podcast, there's a self-paced course completely on that. There's also a ton of resources like my automations library. So my systems for how I podcast as basically a one-man band. You can see some of my automations here. Dropbox to Vimeo upload, for example, when I do live streams for my podcast members, it automatically gets uploaded to Vimeo. Create a WordPress post, publish from multiple feeds. All of these things help me run my podcast better. And as a member of the Podcast Liftoff Playbook, you would have access to these things. My favorite part of the playbook, and I think something super useful for all of you, is if you become a extended member, so there's 2 tiers, but if you become an extended member, you get your own coaching page where we meet for an hour and then I recommend plays to you. All of my coaching clients also get this. And as part of the extended membership, you get live cohorts, you get an hour of one-on-one coaching, and you get a personalized email, not personalized, you get a separate email inbox where I'll have faster turnaround time, like within 72 hours. I'll respond to you. It's usually less than that. 72 accounts for the weekend. It's usually going to be 24 though. So this is for extended members of the playbook. The other thing extended members of the playbook get are these live cohorts. The next one is starting next week. And we are going to launch a mini podcast. So over the next 4 weeks, we'll go through everything you need to do to launch a mini podcast so that you'll have a show launched before Christmas. Next week, we'll be defining your mission statement and Descript crash course. Hey, you're already ahead of the game because I just gave you that part. So even if you can't make next week because it's short notice, you're not going to miss that part of it, and the replays will be available for you. Week 2 will be creating your outlines and recording with Descript. Week 3 will be crafting your rock solid call to action based on your mission. And week 4 is launch party. We'll create Buzzsprout accounts and put our podcasts out into the world. If you don't want to use Buzzsprout, you don't have to, but these are the tools that I'm using. I'm going to show you everything you need to do to launch your mini podcast. This is $250 on its own. But because you attended this webinar, I do have a special offer for you. So because you attended this webinar, I want to give you $70 off the Podcast Liftoff Playbook at any price. So you can get the basic playbook for $229 instead of $299, or you can get the extended playbook, which includes that coaching session, the live cohorts, and then the email access for $529 instead of $599. But I also want to give you the live mini podcast bootcamp for free. So you're effectively saving over $300 with this deal. If you go to podcastliftoff.com/mini, you'll get the $70 off and you will get the mini bootcamp for free. This does expire on Saturday. So again, if you click through, let me just show you. If you go to podcastliftoff.com/mini, you will be brought to this special offer page. If you click through to yes, I want this, you will automatically have that discount applied. So it should tell you here, right? Price for membership is $529. This is a one-time fee, by the way. This is not an annual subscription. This is a one-time fee. You'll have these bonuses for the year if you're an extended playbook member, but you'll get access to everything else, all of the plays forever. And then if you use that discount code, then you'll get added to a list and you'll get added to the cohort. So we do have office hours today. But the cohort starts in earnest next week. So I wanted to make this available as like a thank you. I'm not doing a Black Friday sale. So this is like the best deal. And I want to thank you for spending some time with me today by giving you this offer. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And I do want to ask, do you have any questions. And it looks like Renee does have a question. So let's dive into the questions. Did you say you can record video directly in Descript? Yes, you can record video directly in Descript. So let's go back to Descript. And let's create a new. So let me show you the new storyboard section here. I'm going to click new project. Actually, let me narrate what I'm doing. You can see there's two buttons up here. One is new classic project. That's what we've been working in the whole time. The other is new project, which is the thing I just created over here. So when I do that, you can see that there are some slight differences. This interface is actually, I'm going to undermine a lot of what I just said earlier, but this interface, if you've never used Descript before, does make a lot of sense. You can even like create these templates. So like if I used Storyboard, I could create my Make Money Podcasting template and start from there. But you can also click Start Recording here. The thing I didn't like about it is that I can't easily find the sidebar, which I think just shows up under here, right? So anyway, to answer Renee's question, if I click Start Recording, you can choose audio only, you can choose camera, or you can choose screen up here. And you can see that they picked my B-roll camera. There we go. That's better. You just got to peek behind the curtain, like how messy my office is. So you can record camera and screen. So I can grant access to screen recording. I'm probably gonna have to restart Descript now. Alligator 5. I'm just kidding. That's not really my password. So we'll restart Descript. If you want to do screen recordings, that is. If you just want to do like talking head videos, obviously you don't need the screen part. Okay, so we're back here again. If I pick recording, let's just do camera only. Now this says no inputs available. Perfect. And Renee is asking, will it transcribe what I'm saying? Yes. So I don't know what happened here. Like why it's not picking up my camera all of a sudden. Oh yeah, okay, good. There we go. So record to script. So let's just pick me. I'm gonna pick record to script. So now it's counting me down, it counted me in, and you could see the transcript is being generated as I'm talking, just like it did before with audio only. So I'm gonna hit delete here, and then it's going to add the video. You could see, I mean, the timeline looks almost exactly the same down here, right? The cool thing about Storyboard is it creates these little slashes here. So this is considered a scene. This is considered a scene. And then you can do some extra stuff with that. I'm not ready to talk about that because I haven't played a lot with it, but this is definitely the interface that they want you to use moving forward. And you'll have the same kind of publish features here. So you can publish to Buzzsprout or Castos. Maybe here, detach audio actually means something, though it looks like it doesn't. So I don't know how I would... just go on and delete the video without the audio. Maybe I just did that. So I'm not quite sure how to do that part yet, but yeah, Renee, to answer your question, yes, you can record video directly to Descript and it will transcribe you as you're speaking. Liam, thanks so much. I'm glad that you were able to make it. I hope this was helpful and instructive. Let me know if there are other questions. We have a couple minutes left. Again, that link for the special offer is podcastliftoff.com/mini. This replay will be available. It's streaming right to YouTube, so you'll get an email with all of this stuff, but the replay will be available until Saturday, or like Friday night. And and then it's going to get added to the playbook. So if you are already a member of the playbook, you'll have access to this forever. Otherwise, check out the special offer because it's really, it's the best deal I'm offering all year. And I'm really excited about this mini podcast cohort. I've spoken to a lot of people who are registered for it or are members of the playbook, and they're excited to get started with that. So it's going to be really good. And if there are no other questions, again, I'll wait about 30 more seconds. I know that there's a tape delay here for streaming. But if not, thank you everybody so much for coming. I really appreciate your time. And I hope that this was helpful for you. I'm always open to feedback if there's something else you want me to dig into here. But this was your crash course in Descript. And hopefully you saw how that was my actual workflow. It a little longer, actually, because I didn't have my templates set up. So I hope that you enjoyed that. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. If you're in the United States, happy Thanksgiving. If you're not, happy rest of your week. And thanks again for coming. I hope to see you soon.